Ladies and gentlemen of this community called Conquer Your World, how are you? I hope you're doing wonderful. Today I have an amazing guest to kick off a new season of the podcast, my dear friend and great man, Arturo Elías Ayub. How are you?
It's a pleasure, my dear Johnny.
I finally made it.
Well, you never invite me.
No, I've invited you since we first met.
I know. We just hadn't agreed on it.
Honestly, yes, but I'm happy.
But happy.
Thank you for being here. Since we met, when you invited me for coffee, what do you call it at your place? Special ones, or what did you call those coffees?
No, it's a frappuccino, which is amazing how they make it at my place. You know, the barber, the doctor, everyone who you have to go, they just come to have their frappuccino, you know.
It's your perfect hook.
It's my hook, so everyone comes over.
I really cherish that moment, and thank you for being here despite your busy schedule. If you weren't here, what would Arturo Elías do on a Monday at 2?
Working, but you have me here relaxing and having a carajillo.
Yeah, well, cheers, just a little to wake up, and well, welcome. I'm really glad to tell you again that we were already expecting you here. And I want this conversation, no matter how short or long we make it, to show more than just Arturo the negotiator, because everyone knows you as the shark, the negotiator, the business guy. But how would you define yourself, Arturo, if we took all that away?
That part?
That part, how do you see yourself?
It's going to sound very arrogant, my dear Johnny, but I think I'm a cool guy. I mean, I'm a guy with a good heart, a guy who's always looking the good for myself so I can give the good to others, you know? I mean, to be able to be good for others, you have to be good yourself. I've always believed that. And I'm that guy. I really am that guy. I'm a guy who has already gone through many stages in my life. Even though I look young, I'm not that young anymore. And you keep learning what the priorities in life are. And I'm telling you honestly, really, my priority today is already the professional part, the financial part. Thank God, my family, it's like everything is already.
Okay, consolidated.
Today, what I have to do is see what I can do for others. And honestly, I'm focused on my life and excited also to be able to do that.
What a beautiful answer. I've had the privilege of getting to know you and seeing your family core and more. And without a doubt, what you say, I can see it. And I saw when I was doing my research on your YouTube channel that you write, I'm an entrepreneur, passionate about business, about Mexico, and about my family. If you had to put them in order of priorities, how would you do it?
Without a doubt, my first God up there, number one, then my family. Today, my passions.
Okay.
And then the business.
When you say God first.
Oh, sorry, and I forgot my beautiful Mexico, of course. Here it goes. God, my family, Mexico, my passions, my business.
I love it. When you say God first, have you always believed that way, Arturo? Or did you go through things that made you?
Look, I come from a Catholic family.
Okay.
My mom especially used to drag me to Mass on Sundays, and I stopped going for a long time. Not about believing, but about interacting, so to speak.
Okay.
And I'm very fortunate to have a wife who has made me see religion in a different way. To get closer to God in a beautiful way, and thanks to Joanna, I'm living a time in my life with a lot of faith, with a lot of love for God, you know? And I think it's mutual. I think it's mutual from Him to us. It's for everyone.
Of course.
I mean, I think God loves everyone, and things happen to us, and we say, where were you? But then you realize that He's there. You realize that He's there, and that He comes back. Not that He comes back because He never leaves, but that for some reason, He does things, right? And people might say, what about you, Arturo? Everything's fine, right? Well, no, tough things happen to me too, you know? And I've been through some really hard things. Well, to begin with, neither of my parents are here, nor my two brothers.
Right, so.
Well, that's what I've had to deal with. But the great blessing I have is that faith and love for God that help me move forward every time.
And that's exactly where I'd like to go a little deeper, because you mentioned your parents aren't here and you lost your father when you were very young, right? How did you experience that, both personally and professionally? Because from what I read, you were about 22 years old. You were just a young guy.
Not approximately. I was 22.
Yeah, exactly.
It was really tough, really tough. That's when I drifted away from God, you know?
Really?
I was very angry, really angry, because on top of that, my dad was everything. My God, my sensei, well, I loved him madly and he loved me. I'm the youngest of my siblings, so I was the spoiled one, you know, of the boss and the lady boss. And yes, it was a very tough time because my siblings are much older than me and they no longer lived at home. So I stayed with my mom, whom I also loved madly, both of us in great pain. But I felt that responsibility to help my mom get through it, you know?
Okay.
And besides, I was left with my dad's business, and I also felt a huge responsibility to keep the business going. So, 22 years old, right? The responsibility of your home, the responsibility of your mom, and the responsibility of the business.
What made you think that out of all your siblings, you were the one who had to step up?
No, but look, my siblings were awesome, each one in what they did.
Okay.
It's just that nobody got to keep the business because they were all in different things, each one doing their own thing.
Okay.
Each one had their own thing going on. Each one was very successful, but everyone had their own thing. Alfredo was in politics. Tonio was in music. Miguel went to San Diego as a football kicker. He went to try out with the Chargers. He got injured, and he stayed to live in San Diego. So, everyone had their own thing going on, and it was my turn. I wasn't the one who stepped forward. I was just the one who, by chance, it happened to.
And how was it? When you arrive at your dad's business, the first day you have to take the wheel and you're there alone.
You know, luckily, I didn't just show up from one day to the next. I mean, ever since I was really young, I'm talking about 14, 15 years old, I would go to the business with my dad because I loved it. So, when my dad passed away, I was already deeply involved in the business. I mean, I knew it inside and out. Also, I started out because that's how my dad taught me, carrying bundles in the warehouse with fabrics and selling at the counter, wrapping 5 meters of muslin in newspapers and ringing it up at the register, you know?
He never spoiled you or treated you differently.
No, I started from the bottom in my dad's business,
Yeah, of course.
but doing everything. And I think that's something anyone who wants to start a business should do, man. Understand all the different areas of a business. And then I got into my own thing.
That's great. We'll discuss that too, since I really like how.
Not this, not this. I won't tell you this yet.
Great. But then you start from there and say that your faith wavered. You went through a crisis where you lost your dad, who was your idol, your mentor, your sensei. Why did it waver?
I got really mad, man.
Why did you blame God?
I got mad. I would say to him, why my dad, man? My dad was a super healthy guy. I never saw him in bed sick with the flu, you know? So,
What did he die of?
super handsome. He was a great guy. Everyone loved him. He was a great person, really a good person. He was a great guy, man. Not just because he was my boss, but if you ask anyone, they'll tell you, first of all, that he was the most handsome guy in Mexico, really. Really, that's what everyone said, but also he was a really good person. So I would say, why, man? Why my dad? He was always healthy, and suddenly it was a strange virus that took him in 2 months. So yes, I got angry. I got really angry.
Did you stop practicing talking with him?
Yes.
What makes you want to make peace with that battle?
I think that it's ugly to say it, but I needed it.
Okay?
I think I needed to come back and I needed to tell him, you know why you do things, cabron. And I needed to believe that my dad was okay and that he was up there, you know?
Okay, I mean, was it during that stage or was it because of a crisis afterwards?
No. It was during, let's say, a few months or a couple of years afterwards.
Okay? And then, while they say God's plans are perfect, and you know Johanna, right? She's very religious. How do you know her? To begin with,
It's a well-known story. Should I tell it to you?
Tell me a little bit, just the context, because I want to.
Carlos, his brother was one of my best friends. I used to call his house because there were no cell phones back then.
Okay?
And Johanna would answer and we would talk for hours. And well, we liked each other.
Okay. And did her brother never get in the way?
Yes, he wasn't happy at all. Not happy at all, my buddy.
Like a good brother, right? And today they get along very well.
Also, the oldest with the youngest sister, his favorite, so his friend.
Of course.
The one who used to go out partying. So, well, no, it wasn't cool, no.
Okay, but it worked out, and now you all get along great, right?
Man, we're like brothers, literally, like brothers.
That's really cool. Arturo, besides the fact that she has brought you closer to God or helped you have that living faith, what have you learned from Johanna? That no book and no business has given you? Is there anything you'd like to share with us?
Look, that faith in God is probably the most important thing I've learned from Johanna, but her humility, her desire to help, always being there for those who need her, the unconditional love she gives, those are things I've learned from her, and I thank God for having her because she truly is a queen, truly a woman full of kindness. That's the word.
Yes, I know her, and honestly, I can confirm what you're saying, and without a doubt, since you've lived with her for so long, you know it for sure.
And after all this talk, they're going to say, and where the hell is the damn shark?
Hey, the shark is also a pack leader.
You already brought out all my sensitive side, man.
Now, we'll dive deeper into your topic, especially regarding...
You go ahead, man.
Good, I like that there's...
Whatever you want, anything.
On the other side, beyond what he teaches you by example, has he taught you something that hurt you with the reflection that is that couple? Something you've seen within the marriage, and you say, oh my, I didn't notice this until I got married.
About me, something bad about me or her?
No, yours area for improvement.
Look, marriage, I think that family is one of the values that holds this country together. I think that Mexico is very fortunate to have very close-knit families, so marriage and family are a blessing. But it has its challenges.
It's not for everyone.
It has its challenges. And yes, well, the first big challenge is your freedom, right?
Yes.
Your freedom becomes different. Not that you lose it, but it becomes different. So I was very, very, very free, really free. And I mean, I could go out partying, go to the airport, and head to Acapulco.
Of course, you just grew up fast. You were a man by 22.
Exactly. So, yeah, it was hard for me, but you learn to live differently, right?
And what would you say to most men who tell you, no, I can't. It's too complicated. I feel suffocated. Is it worth giving up those kinds of things for the reward that comes later?
Me, I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it for anything, but there's something for everyone, right? To each their own, really. If you really feel suffocated, you're going to miss out on the most wonderful thing in the world. That's for sure, I'm telling you. I mean, the day you get married, the day your first child is born, the second, the third, however many, those are the most incredible days of your life. I mean, no, you can't even come close to comparing it.
Okay.
With anything?
I would ask you there.
With nothing.
Look, I love the topic and everything. I'm about to look for kids, and I'm already in that process.
You get to work, my king.
I'm going to work, we're working, but you know what gets me? It starts to stress me out, and here is where I start getting into your territory.
Don't be dumb. Don't think about it.
I'm not even thinking about it.
Don't even think about it.
But what would you say to people who say, you know what, having kids sounds appealing, but I get really anxious about how they're going to make it in life? How do you deal with that?
Look, I was just watching a TikTok yesterday of an old man who said, you see, the greatest achievement of my life has been seeing that my children are good people. And I can confirm that TikTok 1,000%. Me, today, when I see my children with values, hardworking, decent, good people, good vibes, humble, I'm already there, man. And that's why I was telling you earlier, because you go through different stages in life, right? Seeing my kids like this, whatever comes next, that's it, And how they move forward also depends a lot on the parents, right?
Of course.
It depends a lot on the education you give them, but then they say, how do you educate them? Well, by example.
Mainly, right?
No, there's no other way.
There's no other way.
No, mainly there's no other way. You can say, don't be a son of the morning and you're the Mocho Reyes, dude. No, well, no.
Of course, of course.
It doesn't work, right? You have to lead by example.
And how do you, beyond setting an example, make sure that even though your kids have everything, because I know them, they're hardworking, independent, they're finding their own path, their passions, and they're not spoiled rich kids, and those slackers who say, successful grandfather, I don't know what kind of father, and a spendthrift son, right? So how have you handled that? Because it would be the easiest thing for that to happen.
Well, again, with very clear and strong values and with a purpose in life, Johnny. I mean, I think that, look, my children don't need anything they don't actually need. I don't know if I'm making myself clear.
Yes, I understand, but it would be great for people if we could develop that more.
Not for you, since you already understood.
No, well, at 40, I've already stumbled a couple of times, but I would like to...
I mean, look, yes, they like to party and they like to go out with their friends, but thank God they like sports and they work all day, all three of them. That balance, that scale, because I wouldn't tell them, hey, don't go out partying or don't hang out with your friends, because I think that's a really important part of everything, you know? But don't play tennis 3 times a week anymore. Yes, because that's another very important part. But you don't work all day anymore. Yes, because that's another part. I mean, it's the balance. And on Sundays, every Sunday we eat together, and almost every day we have dinner together. And well, except for Johanna, who already got married and left me, but she still comes to eat on Sundays. And now we all went to Acapulco together for tennis, and we had some family moments, but let's see. But it has never even crossed my children's minds to have a Porsche. No, they all drive their regular little trucks, and they've never thought about opening champagne in a club. Because they don't need what they don't need, but they really don't need it, you know? They don't even need, they're not looking for validation to show off, to fit in. They know their own worth. At Christmas, I gave one of my kids, I'm not going to say which one, a t-shirt, man, a t-shirt with a little brand logo because I like the shirt. Son, can I exchange this since it has the brand on it? I mean, their ways, right? Their values. It's an example. Totally.
You mentioned your children, including Johanna, my friend who introduced us, and her husband Arturo, whom we also greet.
To Johanna, yes. To her husband, no. Also to Cuco, a hug.
I had the honor of being invited.
And also, let me say it like this, in front of everyone. I've been lucky that she married a great guy.
Exactly, that's our destination. How? I had the pleasure, the honor, the privilege of being invited to that wedding. I felt like part of the family. Honestly, they're a great family, but I saw you were very emotional. She's your only daughter, so how did you handle that part of letting go?
But it wasn't emotion, it was sadness. Oh no, it's the same thing again, Johnny. It's seeing your kids grow up, develop, start a family. Now Johanna is already married. Has Arturo already given the ring?
Yes.
Chilaquil is young. I hope he can handle it.
Yes.
But that's what we were talking about a while ago. It's seeing your kids go down the right path, and that gives you a lot of excitement. And that's why you saw me so excited at the wedding, right? You're achieving goals that sometimes aren't yours, like in this case. It's not my goal for her to get married, but as a father, it's nice to see your kids making progress.
Of course. Arturo, we adore him, your son-in-law, and he's a really driven guy, very hardworking and everything. What's it like to be the father-in-law who knows it all and to see him making his way? How does that feel? I mean, do you give yourself permission, or does he let you guide him or give him advice, or do you keep that part very separate? How does that work?
No, not at all. When Arturo comes to me for advice, and I really appreciate that he does it often, of course, I give it to him wholeheartedly. You're talking about business advice, right?
Yes.
I do it wholeheartedly and always see it as if they were my own child. I say, the moment they marry my children, they become my children, man, right?
Do they fit in? From what I see, they become family.
Of course, of course.
And for example, him, who maybe hasn't reached the levels that one day he will reach. He and Joanna are building their own agreement, or do you go and protect them and kind of set the table for them, or how does it work?
They do it on their own, all by themselves. And Arturo is a really hardworking guy who, like you said, is building his career, his business, and so on. Joanna is also very hardworking, and she's also starting out on her own. And no, I mean, they know that I'll always be there, right? For whatever they need, but they're doing their part, they are.
What do you think about couples who split expenses 50-50? Do you agree with that? Are you more traditional, or what would you say?
Me, Arturo, I'm more traditional. I mean, in my house, it's me, right? But I'm not against it either.
Their agreements.
Well, they are. Yes, I think that. Yes, I think it's fine. No, not just think I don't do it, but I think it's fine. I mean, I think both are valid.
Of course.
All three are valid. Now it's the dads who stay to take care of the kids, and the woman is the one who works and provides for the household, and that's okay. I think all three are very valid.
Whatever works for the couple.
Whatever works for the couple. Because besides, every couple is a world of their own, right? And you don't know what circumstances each person is in. So I think all three are valid. What isn't okay, girls, is when a guy invites you out for the first time and then tells you to pay half. Seriously, you should send that guy packing, because honestly, I don't know, I just don't agree with that.
Me neither. Honestly, at least in our traditional mindset, it's a very clear way of saying I'm interested and I want to treat you well.
Yes, it's an act of chivalry. No, that's not okay. I don't do that.
I agree.
Now, once you're married, if the deal, because of the circumstances, is that she works and he takes care of the kids, well, that's okay.
Totally agree. You talk a lot about win-win. You say it's one of the most important keys in a negotiation, that both people are happy. In a relationship, do you think that in every negotiation and every discussion, there has to be a win-win in the agreement?
I think you have to find a middle ground. And in marriage, a million times you have to give in, because if not, it's over. Both have to give in, you know? Sometimes it's your turn, sometimes it's her turn. More often, it's her turn to win.
The famous yes, my love.
Yes, my love, but you have to find that middle ground where both of you are, if not happy, at least at peace.
Okay, because if not, resentment starts, right?
Son, yes, and it keeps building up. That resentment just keeps piling up.
Yes, and you said it well in an interview I heard. If I'm angry and I come and talk to you like that, you're going to get even angrier, and we're not going to get anywhere. There has to be a sense of teamwork.
And now my negotiator's soul really comes into play in your question. But also, you have to choose the right moment, right? There are times when you shouldn't touch it, buddy, and you have to pick the moment when, now, my love, we can talk, because I think I messed up or you messed up, right? But if it's at the moment when you're all on edge, man, just let it go, or you, right?
Totally agree.
At that moment, Gway, just stay quiet, go watch television over there, right? So in the end, it's a negotiation, right? You have to find the right timing. You have to find the right way to say things, man. You can say the perfect word in the wrong way and it's over. You have to find the right approach, right?
Totally agree. Moving on to another topic.
Now, couples getting married don't need a premarital course. We're giving them everything right here, man.
A mix of business and family, that's it. Absolute fulfillment.
But the thing is, look, in my book, The Negotiator, I say it. In life, you negotiate 48 times a day, man, one thing or another. Like what? Like what we're discussing now.
Do you want to come to the podcast? Yeah, I can. What time?
Hey, let's go eat with my mom. Oh man, I can't today. Well, but let's go tomorrow because I don't know what.
With the partner, of course.
With your kids, I get there at 3. No, well, now get there at 2 because, I mean, life is a negotiation and...
In a relationship, everything must be negotiated and agreed on. It can't be one-sided.
And I'm going to tell you the most important thing. For that relationship and that negotiation, the most important thing is humility. The moment you lose humility and say, now I win just because I win, man, that's when it's over.
Yeah, and you really don't win anything, right?
You lose everything. Yeah, you lose everything.
Speaking of humility and what we were talking about earlier, about being simple and valuing what's important, at what age did you understand that, Arturo? At what age did you realize that material success wasn't the most important thing, like people say it is out there, and that the most important thing was? What is it for you?
Well, look, it's a matter of education from a very young age. I mean, I always understood it. I never thought differently. I never thought that material things were the most important, you know? Because that's how I was raised since I was a little kid, man. I mean, my parents financially were always very well off. And they certainly didn't give me everything I wanted as a kid. You know, I had to earn it and I had to do this and that. And I had to understand that it was important to earn what you wanted. And I had to understand what was important to have and what wasn't and why, you know? So, that's education. That's the kind of education you bring. Well, yeah, like they say, right? That
The values, right? However, today, Arturo, there are millions of people who wake up stressed all day. In fact, some of them are going to be listening to us in the car, stressed out in traffic, chasing that goal, that carrot, that material success, feeling insufficient, constantly comparing themselves on social media. With everything you've experienced, would you tell them that reaching the top of economic success is really as worthwhile as they think? Or are there more important things?
Look, Johnny, I would tell you, no, money doesn't matter. Yes, it does matter. It does matter for certain things. For example, I think it's very important to be able to pay for a good doctor when you need one, you know? I think it's very important, well, to have a nice house where your family feels comfortable, blah, 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 blah. But I don't think it's important to have a Ferrari, man.
I feel the same way.
It's not important. I think it's stupid. Especially in this city, right? Your Ferrari's gonna fall apart at the first pothole, man. You know? I mean, how should I respond to people who are stressed about this? It's very difficult because everyone goes through a different situation. I tell my children that they can never criticize anyone because they don't know what that person is going through, right? You have to put yourself in someone else's shoes before you can point fingers at anyone. So, with your question, it's also about what each person is going through, maybe the one who's falling apart. The mother is super stressed about some money. He needs it because his mom got cancer, right? And he has to, or at least wants to, look for the best possible treatment he can afford. Now, the one who has enough for that treatment, but if he insists on getting the Ferrari, then he's really lost.
Okay?
Because that one is definitely looking for something that doesn't fulfill you and doesn't help you, right? I think it's both things. The money helps you with cancer treatment. But the Ferrari, man, that's just an example, okay?
It's perfectly understood.
Saying the Ferrari is just giving dramatic examples, let's say, to make it clear, right?
Yeah, your level of happiness doesn't go up just because you have a Ferrari. It clearly goes up.
I think your level of worry goes up, man. I think so too, right?
Yeah, you'll feel more at peace if you have enough for health, good food, and warmth. But a Ferrari?
So look, I asked me what I would do if I were president.
What would you do if you were president?
I'm not going to be, that's for sure. I'll leave it to the one who says he will be, or to those who say they will be. Well, what I would look for, first of all, is a minimum level of well-being for all Mexicans. What does that mean? That everyone, absolutely everyone, all 130-something million have enough to eat. Their children have education and that the whole family has health, I mean, decent health opportunities, and that and that they have a little house with a cement floor. I mean, a minimum level of well-being for all Mexicans. Now ask me, what am I doing?
What are you doing about it?
I'm telling him to ask me, cabron.
Welcome to the Arturo Elías podcast.
We started the podcast and you started asking me, what's next, cabron? What excites you? Today, I'm very excited because we have a program at the Carlos Slim Foundation. We're partnering with the Food Bank, a foundation that's been around for 30 years. That feeds 2.5 million people every day. 2.5, but in this country, there are 8 million people, 8 million, Johnny, who, according to the people at the food bank, are considered to be in food insecurity. And I say they're hungry because they are literally hungry. A year ago, we joined forces with the Food Bank Association. When I told Engineer Slim about the program, how it worked, let me quickly tell you how it works. The idea is to go collect the food that Walmart, Soriana, or the Central de Abastos or wherever are no longer going to sell. They're not going to sell it anymore, but it's still good. Take them to a warehouse, sort them, and bring them to the community where they're needed and distribute them. It's that simple. Boom, boom, right?
Okay.
The big challenge is that logistics, going to pick them up, having the warehouse, sorting them, and delivering them, right? So we're about to deliver a total of 30-something trucks, 22 tons, 18 tons, you know? About to deliver 9 new warehouses. All this in 1 year because we want to get through this year, 2026. Last year, we started at 2.5, and now we're at 2,900. But we want to finish this year with 4.5. And the challenge that when I told Engineer Slim, he said to me, I want you to reach 8 million people. Imagine, man, having that challenge in your life.
Wow.
What could excite you more, man? You know? What could excite you more than waking up every day and saying, dude, what do I have to do today so that another 100,000 people can eat every day? Every day, man.
No, it's huge. It's a purpose.
I don't know why we got there, Skinny. I don't remember. Maybe because
You're directing the podcast?
I'm doing this.
Yes, you are.
The next question. No, thank you. Sorry for getting sidetracked. It's just that I get so excited, cabron.
I love it. And you know what, Arturo? I also think it's something really nice to give back in a very kind way, even though it's not your obligation. A lot of what you have built and achieved and what people have given you and trusted you with.
Hey, what this country has given me, man, I have no way to repay it. You know that my grandparents came from Lebanon, and my grandfather's grave, it literally says, thank you, Mexico, because you gave me life. And my dad was crazy grateful to this country, and I'm crazy grateful to this country, and my kids love Mexico like crazy, you know? And well, not to mention Engineer Slim, who is crazy in love with Mexico.
You can see this happens with you. You're always supporting and building foundations without a doubt. All of this that happens, Arturo, do you think it's because of a divine plan, that life happens because of a divine plan? Or is it full free will, or is it a mix? Which of the options sounds right to you?
God puts you in certain positions, and it's up to you to take advantage of them.
I love that. And do you feel like you're there right now performing in yours?
I think I could always give more.
I love that. You never settle, right? And beyond this earthly life, Arturo, as we head towards the end of this interview as well, I know you have to go, and I thank you again for your time. Do you think that beyond this earthly life, there's something else when we leave here?
Let's see. Within my beliefs in the Catholic religion, yes, I believe there's a place. I don't know if it's heaven. I heard you were going to hell. No, that's not true.
Cut it, man, cut it.
I know a bit about that. No, I don't know if it's heaven or hell, you know?
Yes.
But I know it's really hard for me to believe in hell, because I know that God is so loving that he won't let anyone suffer forever. I know that some priest will say, well, this guy hasn't understood anything about religion, but I do believe that there isn't an eternal punishment. There can't be, because God is too good to punish you forever. Maybe he just leaves you waiting in a room, what people call purgatory, though I don't call it that either because I mean, I have my own thing, but I think the good place is a place where you're so close to God that you don't need anything else. That's what I believe, that you go to that place where God's love is so immense that maybe you do reunite with those who left before, maybe, right? But you don't need it because God's love is so great that nothing else matters.
If you were to get to that place, hopefully in 100 years,
Well, hopefully, whenever it happens, man.
and it wouldn't be. Your life might have been financially successful, but you wouldn't have built the family you value today. Like many millionaires who are very successful at the office, but not at home. Would you think it would have been worth it anyway? Or do you think
That it would have been worth what?
it's like the movie The Family Man with Nicolas Cage? He is given two scenarios, being the extremely successful millionaire with the Ferrari and all that, or a family man in the daily struggle. If you had to choose to live a life in those two extremes again, since you've already lived this one, which would you choose?
Which one is this?
After this one, this is, I see you fulfilled, you might say. I feel like you were able to achieve a really good level of balance.
Look, Johnny, I feel like a very fortunate person. And again, right, let's go back to the fact that everyone lives through different circumstances. And for me, maybe it's very easy to answer you the way I'm going to, and maybe for someone else who hasn't lived my life, it would be much harder to say, right? And I chose option B, but me, without any doubt, I choose option A, which is a family. United, loving, integrated. And may you have it. Anyway, I work my ass off every day, man.
Well, yeah,
Right? So working hard every day is always the same, just in different situations.
exactly.
But then also they're probably saying, damn, Arturo, well, yeah, of course, right? That's why I say it. But the truth is I've been very fortunate. And maybe from where I am, it's very easy to answer. But really, I mean it from the heart. I really mean it. Yes, I would much rather have that than the other thing 1,000 times over.
I love it. And as a final question, just to wrap up and following this beautiful line,
Sorry, just let me tell you, you have no idea how many millionaires I know who are so unhappy, really so unhappy and so lonely and so full of nothing.
yeah, all they have is money, right? But on the outside, they seem impressive, like, wow, I want to be like him, right?
Well, of course.
And do you think they're going to die with a certain regret of not having built their life?
Yes, each person, not me.
Don't you see them happy?
Not me, I'm not going to die with regrets.
If today were that last day, Arturo, which we hope lasts 100 years, and if you had the chance to make a call to just one person and say something, who would it be? And what would you say?
Can it be on speakerphone, whoever I call?
Yes.
Well, without a doubt, I would call my house and ask Joanna to put me on speakerphone with her and my kids, and I would tell them that I love them.
Incredible. Arturo, thank you for showing us this beautiful side of yourself that I knew you had and that I've had the privilege to know. And that many people today are also getting to know along with me. Thank you to everyone who is here listening to us. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Go to the link for this episode to find out everything else we have for you. And now we give you the applause from this set. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
See you in the next episode.
Thank you.